the first match if my ping does not just absolutely destroy me and betray me so that I can't actually type in the game or see it. But there we go. Everyone's in. Let's get on
Everyone's
into our
actually
map.
joining. Let's go. There
Our
was only
map
one player
league.
who joined in. Maybe. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they got into a huddle and they made like a little chant before getting ready. You know,
Yeah.
as you do on kids as teams. But let's get on with it, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of possibly max 7. We have a minimum of 20 minutes here for you and a maximum of 35, just regulation time, not even counting overtimes here.
Absolutely. The Terriers in the blue, Hornets in the red. I'd say repping familiar or similar enough colors. At least, sorry, that's on mine with the forest colors, but similar enough to their team colors of white and yellow. But already off the bat, a little bit of action back and forth. Not too much as Silent Wolf does get that demo, but you're just seeing the Terriers try and get a little bit of a midfield press going. And for the Hornets here, very, very passive so far on any of their pushes.
I'd say passive just in general from both teams. None of them are extremely pushy right now. They don't want to push the envelope whatsoever. They want to have one man back at all times for sure, and it looks like they want to even keep 2 just in case, you know. And it's not too difficult to see why, right? A good defense needs to stay strong and it needs to be consistent. If one man fails, well, see. Here, in this instance, you didn't even need a goaltender, but, I mean, I guess this keeps them on their toes?
It's never bad to, you know, just put yourself behind early, you know, kind of get yourselves in the mindset of, hey, you know, we gotta make the comeback. We gotta get into this.
You gotta play aggressive. There you go. There's your comeback.
Absolutely, as it's Thief. Who else would it be who manages to score the goal off the kickoff? Oh my, well, this is already starting as wonderfully as I was hoping it was going
to. Did we expect anything else from Maverick? Come on.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But
to kind of reiterate, as we are now, you know, a minute and 20 seconds in, 2 goals having gone either way very, very quickly. These are 2 rosters that I think are some of the most well-rounded teams in Mav. Of course, on the side of the Terriers, we talked about Mr. Taxivator and Thief, those 2 being the main kind of force that has been allowing this team to get a lot of their goals, to be as consistent as they have been. And then, of course, on the side of the Hornets, just overall, their entire team has been sharing the ball and sharing just the points and everything extremely well. So we'll see if that kind of pattern continues, you know, past this game 1 into the rest of the series, or if we start to see, you know, it switch up as, you know, maybe there's a bit of finals jitters. It's always possible you see some teams just play completely differently because they're really nervous.
Yeah, exactly. And especially that you know that you're getting played on the main RLPC channel, that you're being played to. How many people are here, actually? Can you tell me that number?
Sitting at a solid 60.
We have a solid 60, right? And that's a lot of peer pressure, right? The track mate, we know that the Rocket League isn't the most welcoming place, right? So general chat might be filled with clips of unfavorable actions if they do something wrong, and for sure that's in the back of their minds, right? It's for themselves too, right? Because they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves. I'd say this is a lot more important to them than winning any old just 3v3 tournament that you play every night. As Thief RL and Mr. Tax Evader play an incredible game of catch and shoot. Yeah, that's a beautiful pass and a beautiful receipt there by Thief.
That's the kind of plays that we're talking about when we talk about these 2 players, is that they are absolutely on the same page. They have been scoring a lot of the goals for these Terriers, and they are so efficient when it comes down to it. Managed to get this team a 1-goal lead so far, and Vigilance having to rush back for that ball to make sure that it isn't opened up to 3. But still, pressure being kept on here by the Terriers, and, you know, we haven't really seen a lot from the Hornets. They have that 1 goal, but also that was an own goal from Trav. I'm still really kind of waiting to see what they're going to even do in this series to try and give themselves some advantages.
So what you're saying is that the Hornets have yet to score.
Yes.
And it's still a very tight game because their defense is really strong, but the ball has stayed in their zone. They've had opportunities, right? They've had 2 slam off against the post. Right now, here they have an advantage, but they double commit for that ball, and now they got to scramble back on defense, and they're not going to do it. I thought everyone would go back on defense, and I turn around and see all 3 players are ready to play in the offense, and Silent Wolf was the first to go, and Thief, not expecting the need to go back, goes back just a little too late here.
Yep, and that's sometimes what you do see is just we've talked about time and time again, and just the 2 matches that we cast last week is even in A and double A, you'll see teams that just push up too far. That's a great double demo, and well, Trav has so much time to put that ball through that it's almost ridiculous.
That is not even funny. Mr. Tax Evader, I mean, he's killing people so they avoid paying taxes, right? They are absolutely gone, erased from time. Thanos snapped out of there. And what do you want to do there if you're the Hornets, right? There's nothing you can do. You're 1 player against 3, and I mean, you see 2 of them bearing down on you. You got to do something, and your teammates haven't even responded yet.
Yeah, I mean, Trailblazer tried his best to get that clear, but time was not with him. Trav eventually slots it through right underneath and opens up the goal lead to 1 once again, but Thief is going to be able to find himself an angle. The 3rd goal of the game for him, and he might just have sealed it here for the Terriers as they take a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, another double commit there by the Hornets, and I mean, is it really 4-2? Is it 5-1? I mean, Trav's goal was pretty. I don't know how blatant that was to us compared to like his site, because maybe he did lag out a bit, right? And that happens, right? Where it looks like you're on one side of the ball, and then you just rubber band to the other side of the ball as Trav backflips and allows Trailblazer to get that goal there.
It's gonna be spicy here in game number 1 as
poor Trav
feels backflip man, and the Hornets are back within 1. Terriers, I mean, their offense has looked, as good as I think I expected coming out of Thief and Mr. Tax Evader. It has looked, just the shooting has been so good. They've been looking for each other on those passing plays. The defense, I think, has definitely been, it can be subject to some criticism here in game 1, even though they do end up potentially getting the win. Vigilance is up for this. There's no one challenging. Trav misses off the back wall, and Thief beats out 2 with that little tap up. And the Terriers take, I think, a game 1 that was a little bit closer than it needed to be.
Yeah, definitely closer than everyone expected it after watching really a dominant performance here in game 1 by the Terriers. But it's not because the Hornets were playing bad. It's because they were playing passively, right? They weren't aggressive whatsoever. And the only reason why really they were scored on 1 goal was because they got double demoed. But I'd say like a few of the other goals was just a mispositioning on their part, right? And so they seem very confident in their defense, but they've got to be confident in their offense too, because they need to produce some. And I think 6 shots on net, well, it is a lot in most circumstances. Allowing 10 in return and being in your zone more often than not is not the best look.
Yeah, it's, again, I think for the Hornets there, we didn't see a whole lot. A lot of their goals just came off of mistakes from the Terriers, giving them kind of free shots. As with the Terriers, it was just them, I think, getting and creating opportunities that they were then able to capitalize on. So, heading into game 2, I would really like to see a bit more proactivity from the Hornets. Even though that was a close game 1, I don't think you can play the same in the next game and expect the result to be similar. I think what's probably going to happen is they just say, we can play that same passive style and we'll get the goals. You just might see the Terriers kind of stomp this game too.
Yeah, especially if they play the same way. And especially at this level, right? If you're playing in gold, there's a difference there, right? Where you could just play the same way and the other team just won't adapt to you. But in Rocket League, right? When you go higher levels and you're playing in a league like this, you need to change up how you play going in through game to game unless it's working, right? You don't fix what ain't broke, but if it isn't working, you got to fix it up, right? So Maybe we'll see a more aggressive team out here. And already, there's no one in the net right off the bat, which is a very good sign. Before, they were keeping practically someone in the net constantly, right? The first 3 minutes of that first match, there was always someone in that net. Right now, there's 2 people on offense. In fact, 3. And so it's already looking very different here for the Hornets as they come in and nearly score, as Silent nearly has that first goal of the game.
And it would feel a lot better for the Hornets to get the first goal of the game. Not off an own goal, but just being able to open it up of your own volition and tell the Terriers that you can score without them gifting it to you. But as it is now, Vigilance crossing this one to the midfield, and it's dangerous, but clear comes through. Mr. Taxivator keeping it in, looking for the demo. Doesn't get it, but forces the player high, and that's enough to let the goal just kind of float itself in.
The ball is a floater. You are correct in that statement. Vigilance does put it in. So it's another own goal, but it's not really an own goal because that would have gone in regardless, right? Unlike Trav's goal, who really deserves the goal on that play, right? Because that was in no way, shape, or form going in when he scored on his own self. So that's very different. But in this case, I mean, last game, right, the Hornets did score first in the grand scheme of things, and they lost the game. So maybe if they allow a goal in, right, now it's their turn to win the game, right? Because now they have that pressure of being behind.
And we'll see how they handle it, because for some teams, we've seen situations where they actually play better from behind. And it's a very strange phenomenon, but it happens. And we've casted teams that play like that. But I don't know about the Hornets. The Terriers seem to play better when they're ahead because Thief and Mr. Taxivator are just allowed to do whatever they want.
And it's a very, well, I mean, it's working out very well for them, for sure. I mean, a minute 45 in, they've scored 2 goals, and I mean, they are very nice passing plays on top of that. Yeah, he didn't get the assist off of the lob shot that was so high up that it took like 10 seconds before it fell back down. But that's still an assist in my eyes, even though Psyonix doesn't give it to him. And at the end of the day, I mean, when they work together like that, it's practically an unstoppable team. So you need to break up that chemistry, right? You need to not get fooled by fakes if they ever come your way. And it seems like the Terriers are able to, I mean, change up certain things, and especially just bring in Trav whenever they need to from time to time to just do something, right? And it'll surprise the other team because Trav normally isn't that guy who gets passed to, right? So they're going to look over for Thief or for Tax Evader, and they're like, okay, well, we need to cover him. And then they'll see Trav, and he suddenly gets the ball, right?
Yeah. It's a situation where I feel like the Terriers' offense is very dynamic with those 2 players. And
right.
It does allow for Trav, who hasn't been as consistent this season, to kind of have his moments when he needs to. As Vigilance, he's trying to fake out everybody, but Trav is the last one back. Doesn't matter. Silent Wolf puts it through, but Vigilance, that was a beautiful tee-up.
Breaks one person's ankles, breaks Mr. Tax Evader's ankles. Trav tackles him down, but Silent Wolf is there to put it away. That is beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, those are the plays that you want to see. That was the Hornets making an opportunity, you know, again, by using that dribble, by Silent Wolf just knowing, being aware of where his opponents are, and knowing when to fake it out. As Tax did get a nice pass there, but didn't have a teammate in position. But I want to see more of that from the Hornets, because if they can make plays like that, these games start to look a lot closer.
Now, at what point do you say, okay, as the Hornets here, right? If the Hornets manage to win this game, right, this argument becomes invalid. But if they go down 2-0, what are your thoughts on bringing in Phi for the 3rd game onwards, and who would you replace?
I mean, it's a hard thing to kind of judge in the middle of games, but I do think, you know, if you're down 0-2, that's probably the best time to bring in a sub, because it gives them that game where they have a bit of lenience. They're not having to super sub it and win 4 in a row. And I think you probably just look at the scoreboard or how the teammates are feeling working with each other. And right now, it does feel like Vigilance and Silent Wolf, I feel like, have been on the field and have been trying to be a bit more active. But it all comes down to what we'll see. You know, if they do end up losing this second game, they're only down a single goal right now, but Thief is just absolutely demolishing everybody and going to look for this pass. It's cut off by Vigilance. There's Trav just looking to slot it through, and Taxivator up off the backboard. Can't get too much done, but you're just seeing the Terriers keep this pressure on when they already have the lead. And it's just cutting away the chances for the Hornets to try and, I mean, even force an overtime here in this game too.
I just realized the entirety of the Terriers have endpoint skins. I don't know if you realize that. So are they trying to say that there's what is it, that this team is like the endpoint academy team? That'd be pretty funny. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if a small team did that, just to have like a uniform. You know, of course they can't have their own skin in the game, right? But to have a uniform, right? They all have the white wheels, right? They all have different white wheels. They all have the endpoint decals. It's looking good for the Terriers in terms of overall looks and just in wins right now. And I mean, if you're a player right now, just looking at this game, right, and you see Trailblazer down there at 46 points, you're like, oh, why don't you bring in Fi in exchange for Trailblazer? But Trailblazer, despite having such low points, it felt like he was all over the place at the same time, didn't it? It's just that he was the support player in case someone missed the ball, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of cases it also was just the touches that he was getting, unfortunately, didn't have a massive impact
right
on what was happening immediately. And so that could mean, like, you know, maybe you're getting a lot of clears and you're being very solid on that defensive line. That's not necessarily going to result in a lot of points, but we'll see. Maybe Fi is brought in for Trailblazer. Maybe the Hornets say, hey, listen, we're down 0-2. We need to just try and swap something up and see if that will work. But, I mean, I'm looking at the Twitch chat, and I already see that Fi has said bye. So I think they might be bringing him in to see what they can do with just a slightly different roster. As for the Terriers,
there he is.
I mean, that game, too, I think looked better. Less mistakes. I still think it can look even better from them, because I think there's still a bit of inconsistencies on the defensive line that you'd like to see cleaned up. But here we go. Sub being brought in for the Hornets. Down 0-2. Trying to stave off this match point for the Terriers.
And I mean, Fi is, ranking-wise, their best player, right? And you can see it by just looking at the tournament win, right? He did get a champ tournament win. Whether that was carried or not, that's not part of the question. He does technically have the best track record here when it comes to MMR, and he'll start us off very nicely with a beautiful air dribble that he barely touches, except for at the start here. He just follows it up in case anyone else touches it underneath here, like Mr. Taxivator. But yeah, he just follows it through. That's very beautiful.
Yeah, just being in the way, making sure that Mr. Taxivator feels like he has to go up for that ball, or else Fi will get a second touch to force it through. Forces out the mistake. And it's that proactivity here that you want to see from the Hornets, as Silent Wolf will pick this one up for the 50 against Thief, and does get it into the midfield. Trav, last one back to pick it up, misses the touch. Vigilance with a demo as well, and suddenly with Fi in, the Hornets are a whole lot more aggressive than they were in the last two games.
Oh, they're actual Hornets now, right? They're coming in with demos to sting you back, and they are buzzing around. You've disturbed their nest, right? You brought out the big boy in Fi. You've angered him by going down 2-0, and I mean, now they're on a weird position where they need to win 4 out of 5, right? But with Fi there and this new aggressivity that's coming out of them, it could be possible. It could be possible.
Absolutely could, as Fi is going to chase this one down. Even pulls off when Thief goes up for it, and that's, it's just game awareness that you love to see from a player, is recognizing when not to commit for something. As Vigilance is tackled by Mr. Taxivator on the side, but this ball's still in the box off the backboard. Vigilance should be there first. Unable to get the shot. And 2 minutes gone by in this game, still only sitting at a 1-0 lead. Never mind, it's 2-0. There's nobody in the net.
Did someone boost over ball here? Mr. Taxivator, where are you? Where? Mr. Tax Evader, where I don't want to point fingers or anything, but there's no one in the nets. So it's 2-0, and the Hornets are buzzing about. They are buzzing happily on top of that. Happily and aggressively, I should say, as Hornets do.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate situation. Mr. Tax Evader is just pushing too far forward. I don't know if he even realizes that Thief still needs time to get back into net. And so he's technically the last man, as all the demo from Silent Wolf is just perfectly timed.
Beautiful. I mean, this looks like the other demo play, right? And Silent Wolf isn't going for anything else other than the demo here. He nearly makes the save on his own teammate. But yeah, that play, no matter what, looks good for everyone. And I mean, everyone except the Terriers. And I mean, if you think about it, right? How would a Terrier in real life deal with angry Hornets, right? If a group of Hornets just decided, yep, we're attacking this Terrier here, how would it fight back? Right? And so that's exactly what the Hornets realized and just started stinging him, right? Or stinging the Terriers that are there, right? Because there are multiple Terriers. And so that's it.
It's an interesting thought process, but I think the 4-0 scoreline speaks even more for itself than the hypotheticals. As, I mean, yeah, Fi coming in, him and Silent Wolf each sharing 2 goals apiece. It's looked like a more complete team with Fi in. It really has just been so much more aggressive, so much more, I mean, ball pressure being applied. And, I mean, Fi just coming in with some great mechanics as well, is able to find these shots that it just felt like the third man previously was not really comfortable doing. As Thief does make a save there, but still you have to find 4 goals in just under 2 minutes. It's a very tough ask, even, you know, if this was, you know, like a AAA team versus the Hornets. Still 4 goals in 2 minutes is such a hard task.
No, you're underestimating borderline SSLs here, right? Borderline SSL is up against high plat to low champ players, right? High diamond to low champ there, right? I mean, there's still a big difference as Mr. Tax Evader brings it to a 3-goal game with 80 seconds left. I mean, it's still possible, right? A goal every 20 seconds would give them a win. A goal every 25 seconds would bring us to overtime. Actually, a goal every 27 seconds would bring us to overtime, directly on the dot.
Math. QDC's got it, which is good, because I usually mess up math when I'm on air. But the first goal does come through here for the Terriers in a game where it does kind of feel like it's just going to slowly fizzle out unless Steve can find another goal. Almost gets it. Mr. Tax Evader with the follow is unable to put it through. And that was honestly the best chance I think the Terriers had to try and bring this back.
I think that one had to go in.
Yeah, that's a shot that had to go in, and it just did not, even with 2 follow-up attempts. So with 3 goals still ahead for the Hornets, they should be able to take this game 3. They should be able to stop the winning streak of the Terriers. And now the Terriers have to kind of reassess everything, because this Hornet squad looks a whole lot different now.
Ooh. Silent Wolf flipping it over Trav there, and that really wastes some time. That's really good. Overall, time wastage at this point is very good, because you need to stifle momentum on the side of the Terriers, right? You got to make sure, if you're the Hornets, to stop any momentum. And if you're the Terriers here, you need to build momentum, right? You know that you could score against these guys. You just did it once, right? And you had a really good setup going there heading into the last minute and a half, I would say. It's so they need to continue how they played in that last minute and a half, but that's a tall order. And I mean, the Hornets already came with a concrete way to be able to fight against it, right? So they need to find more opportunities like that, right? To be able to beat through the defense. We see a few double commits on the side of the Hornets. I mean, it is expected, right? The inconsistencies and the lack of overall Rocket League awareness means that you, compared to higher levels, means that you under rotate or over rotate more than your teammates more often than not, right? So
Mhm.
you're gonna see double commits if you can do something about those, right? If you're on offense and see a double commit, that's pretty easy most of the time to deal with, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, for the Terriers there, it just did not seem like they were expecting the change in pace. And that can oftentimes happen when a team does have such a drastic change from one game to the next. So I do feel like this game 4 here is probably going to be a better gauge of how the rest of this series is going to look with Fi in for the Hornets than what we just saw in that game 3. As it's now 2-1. Terriers still leading, but now have had a bit of time here to think about it and to perhaps adapt their play. And we'll see what the decisions are, because now you have to deal with a team that's not just going to sit back and let you push out of the midfield. You're dealing with a team that's going to challenge you even in your own corner.
Right, exactly. And this isn't the team that you saw in game 1 and 2 that were, well, game 1 a lot more passive. Game 2 they tried to be more aggressive, but I think it was just the underwhelming ball touches, right, that really cost them. And Fi gave a little bit of what's the word? Punch to those touches, right? And they felt like they had more weight behind them.
Yeah, absolutely is. Ooh, Thief is actually a really nice fake. Allows Mr.
That is such a
Taxpater to
good
come
fake.
through.
That bamboozled everyone.
I mean, I don't know if he meant for it, but that was actually
Oh no, that is
glorious.
totally meant. That was totally meant. He didn't even flip. That was 100% meant because he was able to turn around and go for it. That is beautiful. Beautiful play.
Yeah, the Terriers just showing that they're not going to back down that easily. They still got life in them, and Thief getting that first goal off the fake, and Mr. Taxivator. It was actually a very nice double tap as well. Just having to, I mean, you have to respect the fact that he controlled it off of the backboard in order to give that shot as Vigilance. That's a nice redirect, and well, we're all tied up.
I mean, if you're Mr. Taxivator back here, right? What can you do? He did back up and try to backflip into it, which technically isn't the best thing to do, but it was actually the only thing he could do. Because if he continued forward, turned around, right, I don't think he would have been able to aerial into that ball because for that ball trajectory, right? And I mean, that is the best play that he could do. Challenge right away instead of trying to intercept the shot from going in. And so, best play he could do there as his ankles got broken when the team's offensive play got broken.
Mr. Taxivator there gets a nice 50-50, but Clear quickly comes out, and an interesting point to kind of note here is that this is the first tied-up game that we've had this series. This is the first time that we've seen these two teams trade one apiece at the start of the game. And so this is kind of unknown territory with how they navigated this trap. Pops this one quite high. Vigilance does get a nice double tap to clear it out. Mr. Taxivator has to find the 50, but it's all in control. The Hornets going to look for the goal. Thief just tackles it from the offensive end. And 2 minutes going by, an extremely even first game, but oh, that's a massive miss. Vigilance gets to the save.
That was on purpose, I do believe, that miss. Once again. Coming from the Terriers, I'm gonna be honest. It's looking like they're faking out a few shots now. They're trying to fake out these guys, and then maybe they're just gonna go for a real shot to try and fake them out again, saying they're gonna think that we're gonna fake this one. Check this out, right? And so if you get the other team in that mindset that you might fake them out on a play, right? They'll keep it in the back of their head, and if they think that you'll fake for it, right? And you actually do go for it, it's gonna screw you over. And we've seen it happen many times, I would say. And you've obviously done it before, right? In match, whenever you play matchmaking, right? You'll just get a game where you just feel like faking out the opponents, right? And you'll do it once or twice, and then when you try it for a third time, they'll actually think that you're faking them.
Absolutely. And to be honest, when you said that, I thought you were talking about Fi missing the initial save, and I was like, really? I don't think he meant to do that, because Vigilance had to make a hard save to bail him out. But with that being said, it's Vigilance making another shot. Thief pops it up high, but it's dangerous. Flies up. Doesn't have enough boost to get the shot down like he would want. And we're still tied up 1-1. You know, only a minute and 30 seconds about left. these teams both searching for these goals. And just, I mean, look at the placement. Both of them really stepping up their gameplay, but this could be dangerous to double commit. Vigilance on the counterattack puts it wide. That means that's going to go high. But still, chances for the attacks. Fine, looking for the shot. But again, both these teams are just trying for the placement in the far corners where the defense isn't. And it's not really working out.
Yeah, Fi, very, very close opportunity, but he missed by a fiber. As Thief picks up that ball. Tries to beat Vigilance. That's a good 50 for Vigilance, but it stays in the offensive zone. 62 seconds left before the end of regulation here. If we stay tied, we'll go to our first overtime here in game number 4. As Thief picks up that ball from his own zone, tries to get it cleared out, and he does solo. And then, with no boost, tries to get it cleared out. It's double committed on. And so now Mr. Tax Evader is the last one back at 5. Tries to do the flip reset. He gets stopped. And Vigilance has the wide open net as Mr. Tax Evader makes that save. And Thief gets absolutely knocked sideways. No one can get back in time.
It's a beautiful play by the Hornets to give themselves that 1-goal lead. Vigilance, I mean, stepping up massively this game. 2 goals and 3 saves for him. And it might just be enough to give the Hornets the tied series. There's Trav. This one into the corner. Thief is there. Try and get it around Vigilance. And there's a good demo onto Fi. You'd like to see the Terriers try and make something out of this as a fake comes out from Thief. Gets it around 2. Looking to go up again, and it's off the backboard. Who's there to try and get it? Nobody. Trav misses, but it doesn't matter because there's no defender there to get it out of that top corner.
Oh, that is beautiful. And once again, another fake coming out. And what do you do if you're Silent Wolf, right? You're in your own net. You have no boost, right? Either drive up the wall or you hope that Trav does not hit that ball, which is what he did. He hoped that Trav doesn't hit that ball and goes for the jump shot at the bottom of the net there with no boost. But sadly, we're tied at 2, 5 seconds left. Can we get a last second goal here? Or are we going to overtime as the ball lands on the ground? The name is sealed. Overtime it is for game number 4. Will it be 3-1 or will it be 2-2?
We'll see for the Terriers. I mean, this is a massive win to put yourself onto match point. Get yourself that slight advantage. Fi, it's onto the backboard. Thief is out of position. Silent Wolf, though, can't find the shot. Mr. Tax Evader has to rush back. Buys time for Trav to come through. But it's still an immediate turn again by Fi. The shot is there from Silent Wolf. And the Hornets once again swarm through, and they're going to tie up the series.
Fi technically breaks rotation here, which absolutely throws off the Terriers. And off the back wall, Silent Wolf, who was on the right rotation, comes in as now second man because of Fi breaking the rotation by taking the mid boost. And he just comes in. He has a one-on-one. He's not met directly at the ball, and he has the entire net to shoot at.
Absolutely. Hornets tying it up, and I mean, surprisingly, off the back of Vigilance there, which I don't think a lot of players expected. It's 3 assists for Fi. Silent Wolf and Vigilance getting the goals, 3 saves, that savior medal as well. Keeping the Hornets, I mean, ahead and in this game. And for the Terriers, I mean, it was a close game. They played very well. They had some great plays, and I think, honestly, you probably approach the offense the same way, where you look for those infield passes. You look to try and clear it to space where the defense isn't, force them to challenge. It's, you know, I think their offense was fine. They just weren't really able to keep up with the defensive touches. It felt like they were pushing a bit too far forward, so they'd have to try and pull back, and then they were just in such an awkward spot going up for those aerials.
So tied at 2 now, the series has turned into a best of 3. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you put your channel points on the correct team, and I hope that you've enjoyed this series thus far, because we got a minimum of 2 games remaining, and I did say at the beginning here that we'd go to all 7, and so far, it's looking more and more likely.
It really is, as Mr. Tax Evader here is getting really aggressive with these pre-jumps, and honestly, I'm absolutely digging it. Has already managed to hit on 2 of them, but still starting off without any early goals here on Neo Tokyo. It's really all up to the Terriers, it feels like, to how they respond, because I feel like the Hornets have shown their hands. They've shown their play style. They've shown what they can do with Vigilance and Phi. And so now as the Terriers, the question is, how do you respond? What changes do you make? Can you step up? And, well, Vigilance is already going to get the first goal off a nice little chip shot and demo.
So what's your answer then?
Well, don't make touches like that.
50 seconds in, and we've got our first goal of the game, and it's to it's in the way of the Hornets finding the first sting there on the Terriers. And I mean, the Hornets once again starting off strong, but it's not to say that the Terriers aren't there. It's that they now have competition. This is actually a tighter game now. The first two games, I would say, was very Terrier dominated. And now you look at both teams, and I mean, it's not exactly dominated by the Hornets, right? But they are playing a little bit better, a lot more aggressively on the offense. But when it comes to the defense, the Terriers are very, very capable, and I'd say a bit more so than the Hornets. And so it equals out.
I'd say so. I think both offenses look extremely strong from what we've seen. It really does all come down to those defensive rotations. How far are you pushing up as Trav? That's a nice little shot to the back corner. Catches, I think the first man just pushing a bit too far here in net. Or even, I think that was a bump there that pushes Silent Wolf off the track. That means that it's going to be the Terriers tying it up.
So Silent Wolf, I think, was going to go for the intercept there off the corner, obviously. That was going to go back towards midfield. And he was going to try and intercept it, and he got all his momentum was lost in that bump. And, I mean, then he was stuck in no man's land, just like in that situation there. But Phi is able to make the save and get the ball cleared out. And Silent Wolf making another one of his own. Nice little backflip there, but there's a lot of pressure coming on by Trav. Trav is doing a lot of the offensive work right now. He's letting his two other teammates, Mr. Taxivator and Thief, back there, just making passes and making things happen. He's going up front and doing all the dirty work. Which is what you'd think that thieves and taxivators would do, right? The dirty work. Instead, it's just a random guy named Trav doing the dirty work, right? And the thief and the taxivator are just doing what they want in the background.
He's the middleman.
He's the middleman. There you go.
Yeah.
So he does do the dirty work.
It's a nice change of pace. They're letting Trav just get so aggressive with these challenges, and the Hornets are not really ready for it. And you've also seen off of it some real nice come out from the Terriers. They've been looking for back corners. They've been looking for those openings, and it's been showing because they've gotten some very close shot attempts. But they need to keep it up because it's still tied up 1-1. And there's always the danger of the Hornets just coming through and scoring, and we might just see it again. But Vigilance tries for the light tap and is unable to make the connection.
It's so close, and I mean, obviously they want a goal right now, but we want a tie game, right? That's exactly what we want. We see that both teams are capable of scoring these goals, and there you go, Thief with a nice little touch up in the air after knocking it up. Goes for a nice little touch using all of his boost left over and just lobs it over Phi, who can't get there in time.
Yeah, I don't think Phi expected even Thief to reach it. It's such a strange trajectory, but he reads it off the ceiling, has enough boost to get to it with only a single jump off that side wall, and it puts the Terriers into the lead. This is a position that they're probably super happy with, and they just have to hold on for 1 minute and 22 seconds. And to be fair, the Terriers' defense and transition game has been looking extremely strong in this past minute or so. And again, it's just they've been allowing Trav to lead. They're allowing Mr. Taxivator and Thief to then read the response from the Hornets and play more reactively based on it, which I think is kind of better for them.
Now, oh, what a save, but Thief can't get all of it. Oh, that is sad when this happens. Thief actually comes in here and makes a miraculous save with no boost left over, but it still goes in. That is heart-wrenching when you see that. When he shouldn't have been there, right? He was just gonna go for boost on the other side of his own field, right? But he miraculously makes a save there, being on the other side, but it just it doesn't connect properly. And so we're tied at 2. How unfortunate is that?
Yeah, the backflip was just a little bit too late, so he wasn't able to kill all the momentum on his car. Doesn't do enough to keep it out, but it's still only a tied up game 2-2. Vigilance once again, I mean, 2 goals, 3 saves, almost a repeat scoreline. I think actually the exact same scoreline that he had in the last game. Is just doing so much work for this
double
squad. Trav is going to take control off of it. I even have another touch here off the backboard. Is able to at least 50 it and drop it down. Keeps control. Trav just looks to turn it around. Opens it up for his teammates, and now Thief has to take control. But the Terriers might have a shot here at the end as it's finally dropped down overtime. But, I mean, Trav's out here making this look so close to being a Terriers win.
So close, and it's another rotational mistake by the defense of the Hornets, right? And as I said, they look so strong on offense, and their defense is looking a little shaky, but it's also because the Terriers are coming back stronger on that offense. 9-4 are the shots currently for them, and it's really opened them up a lot better. Once again, a game where they've changed up how they play and playing a lot more aggressively, but it comes back to bite them in the end. 30 seconds into overtime, Taxivator puts it into the corner, but no one can get to it. Thief can't, Trav can't, and so it is GG's for game number 5, and down 2-0. The Hornets are now up 3-2 in the series.
And honestly, Vigilance has stepped up an insane amount in these last 2 games. Like,
look at the amount of points he has. He has more than double.
It is ridiculous how Phi comes in, just brings a bit more aggression, and then Vigilance has just opened up to kind of play even a second man where he's able to come through and look for these shots off passes. I mean, he carried this game. He
100%.
carried this game for the Hornets.
So here's the thing. Vigilance has more points than the entire Terriers team combined. He's got more points than Phi if he were to double his point count, right? It's insane to think that is the case, right? He has more points than if Phi and Silent Wolf, if Silent Wolf were to double his points and add up his with Phi's, it would still not come up to Vigilance. Right? That is how many points Vigilance has in this game. He did it all. He did the offense, he did the defense, and his 2 teammates just did the middleman job, right? Phi was there to assist the points, and I mean, Silent Wolf was there to clear the balls, right? His role was important. You can't deny the fact that he was there despite only having 1 save and no assists and no goals. He was there. He had an impact, right? His touches were impactful.
Absolutely. But now heading into game number 6. OZ's in. Terriers, they make a last-minute sub. They say, listen, we got to win 2 in a row, so we may as well bank it all on this. And we'll see if it is enough, as both teams have made subs. Hornets on a 3-0 streak here in these grand finals. On to match point. Looking to try and end it all here and see if they can take away that trophy. But now they got to get through the super sub that is OZ.
Yeah, you said it earlier, right? It's better to bring a new sub in when you've lost 2 games, right? So you still have that 1 cushion, right? To just say, okay, yeah, we could bring him in so he's not a super sub. Right now, Oz is a super sub. And so there's going to be a need for Oz to have immediate impact. And the only thing that he's impacting right now is the ground after that goal.
He's just too good. Look at that shot! He's too good!
I think Vigilance has the last 6 goals for the Hornets.
Yeah. No, 7.
7.
I think. Yeah. No, you're right. 6. Sorry. 2 in game 3 or game 4, 3 in game 5, and now the opening in game number 6. Vigilance. Whew, just. I mean, to put it lightly, he is popping off. This is his moment. This is a performance that any player would love to have. His Spy is up for the rebound. No one on the backboard, and the Hornets on match point, up 2-0 in the first minute.
Here's the thing, right? If you're Vigilance, you're happy that you're popping off. But I'd be even more happy that my teammates are actually doing something now, right? That it's not just him doing all the goals, right? Because that does feel like carrying at that point. And so if you're carrying your team to a win, you might have a little bit less confidence in the team as a whole. And so right now, the fact that he doesn't need to do all the saves, right, which Fi just did. He doesn't need to score all the goals, as Fi just did, right? It's very, very strong in the fact that right now he doesn't have as much weight on his shoulders, for sure.
Yeah.
Or doesn't feel as much weight, personal weight on his shoulders, right? Maybe it's not exactly the case that he carried, because it is a team game at the end of the day, right? Because it is Fi who got him those passes most of the time, but Fi is capable of his own goals, as we just saw there.
Being able to rely on your teammates is one of the biggest, steps that allows you to have a breakout performance like this.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, for the Hornets, it is everyone kind of coming through and supporting each other because they're up 2-0. 2 minutes have gone by in this game number 6, and they still have a solid lead. Trav had a completely open net there, but just unable to place it through. So there's still openings here for the Terriers for them to find, and those are shots they need because they don't have any more lives. They need to win the next 2. They need to win this one to even bring it to a game 7. So you need to put that shot into the back of the net.
They need 3 goals at the minimum here to get to game 7, right? 2 goals is not going to be enough. And whether they score that third one in overtime, right? They need to play it perfectly for here on out. This is only halfway through this game, right? And so they need to find something here. And they need to do it quickly. Not just quickly, but they need to do so assertively. That was the word I was looking for earlier when I called the touches very punchy by Fi. It wasn't punchy, it was assertive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a difference in just clearing the ball and trying to get a touch on it because you should, and knowing where you need to place it. And that was really the big difference that came through between him and Trailblazer.
Right.
But with that being said, Terriers still down 2. They need to try and find something here, and it just feels like right now at least, I think it feels like Trav and Thief, as we said, it's nice to have that warm-up game with a sub where you don't have to bring them in to win. It's not like your final resort because you're seeing some double commits where they're just not quite used to the rotation, and it's really just killing time off the clock for them.
I really disagree, though, with the subbing, though. I mean, honestly, why? Ooh, Thief with a great save there. Why would you sub the player out when you lost 3 games in a row? Sure, but 2 of them were in overtime, right? And the other one was what was it? It was a blowout because they didn't know how to play offense against them, right? That game 3. But in games 4 and 5, they had perfect offense, and right now, it just feels like they ruined the rotations and chemistry that they had built up throughout the 5 games here, bringing in Oz. And I mean, if there's a chance that they win this game here, it needs to come in off of this. I would have kept it as is, honestly. I made that call earlier for the Hornets to do it because Fi, technically their best player, right? He played really good during the regular season, and he was just standing by on the sideline, right? While Trailblazer wasn't exactly doing that well. But everyone on that Terriers team was clicking pretty much, right? No one was really slacking by any means. And so they've had their opportunities here. It's been really close. I just feel like Oz did not fit into the scheme because he did not have enough time to really mesh in properly. Just having 1 game in here.
Yeah.
And I mean, taking out your last player, who was tax evader, right? Really, you I don't know who I would have subbed out. And at that point, when you don't know who you want to sub out, right? If you need to sub someone out, you don't sub that person out, sadly. And I mean, the Hornets will take it. The Hornets will fully take it as the nail is put in the coffin, ladies and gentlemen. The Hornets have stung the Terriers to death, and I think they've stung and stunned everyone here in RLPC. Everyone who said Terriers, beat your makers. The Hornets are the winners of A-League.
I mean,
Season 50.
Definitely stung the points of a lot of people who did bet there onto the Terriers, but the Hornets, I mean, a wonderful series. And just to top it off, this well-rounded team, you see Silent Wolf at the top of the scoreboard, managed to get himself an MVP finally. So, with Fi in, it was just such a different roster. It was insane, really, the difference between Fi and no Fi.